What's going on, guys? So if you saw the last couple videos, we were pretty certain that the intermittent power loss was being caused by the transmission. So after doing a pretty extensive treatment on the tranny, I can rule that out now. So good news, transmission is fine. No level 10 rebuild incoming. But I did find our culprit. I actually got our smoking gun. So the rearmost driver's side coil pack had probably a good centimeter of blue corrosion. It was just filled with this blue dust. So talking to a couple friends, I'm going to include some of the videos I sent them. So it makes a little bit of sense. I am the noob in this scenario, so I'm always asking people for help. But yeah, so the coil pack was filled with corrosion. Now, a couple friends say that it was looks like arcing, which I kind of tend to agree. We've had this in the past. I've made a video on this probably, at least a year, maybe more, where I covered the original revision of the RE coil pack. So the originals are Denso's. NGK also makes a couple, but basically the difference is that the entire body is like a exoskeleton metal sheath, whereas the new style, the new revision, which is made by Bosch, those have like a rubber outside. It's like a rubber coating over the metal sheath. So that, I think that was likely to prevent some of the boot, like a small hole in the boot can cause spark jump. And when I originally made that video, the evidence for it was the edges of that metal sheath, the part that actually clips down onto the hex part of the spark plug, that had been scorched. Now, my solution back then was I replaced all 8 with the Bosch's, and I put dielectric grease, very, very thin layer. And that seemed to work until it didn't. And that's when I made this video on the exhaust O2 spacer. And, to my credit, it did have the shiny metal, so it was making contact. I bent up that metal, made it so there was no contact, and sure enough, my power came back. So, it's hard to say. It could have just been total coincidence. But I think what was happening was at some point I had gone over a speed bump or a pothole, something to really knock these out of place. And so the stock coil packs, they use a little bolt hole, right? This will clip into the actual coil pack, and the R8s don't have that. The only thing that secures them is that little end piece of the sheath where it kind of clips over the spark plug. So, a good enough force can knock them out of place. So I think what happened is I went over a pothole, it knocked that coil pack out, and then it could still jump to the spark plug, but that creates a huge amount of energy, right? It's like a second spark. So I think what that did was it either dried up the dielectric grease or something was in there, maybe water or oil, something plus the arcing caused this blue corrosion. And I'll include videos of it. I got a couple of photos of it, stuff that I sent to my friends, because I had no idea, right? Like all the arcing evidence I'd seen in the past was very obvious. It was like a dark black spot, where this almost looks like a battery terminal corrosion. So anyways, clean that out. I just used electrical contact cleaner with a little brush and got them. It's not even shiny copper, honestly. It's still got a thin layer of blue, but I put a nice, decent thick glob of dielectric grease, slapped it back in there, and cleared the code. And sure enough, the car runs like a champ. It is crazy. I'm almost certain that I made that last personal best with an intermittent 7th or 8th cylinder in going in and out, because just the sheer torque and the way that it shifts into second now is very, very different from what I thought was full power before. So I'm very happy about that. I ordered a couple more of these Bosches. So I looked online, and some people have had premature failures with the Bosch. Even though they're the revised style, they still have some failures. So I bought 3 replacements of the new style Bosches, and they're on the way. So I'll put one of those in, and we'll keep an eye on it. But another thing I want to do is I want to make a little a clip that you can just screw in with a 10 mil, and that way we'll actually hold these down. And depending on how hard they are to make, maybe I'll start selling those. And anyone else who's got Audi R8 coil packs can use those. But for now, the car runs like a total champ. getting insane fuel economy. You'd be, you know, it's amazing how having all 8 cylinders run properly will make the car run better. But anyways, I'm getting like 19 miles per gallon, which is a record for this car. I was happy with like 15. But yeah, so anyways, there's really not much to say on that one, boys. I'll include a couple clips from Discovery. But today, we're actually going to be doing something totally different. We are going to be doing the part 2 to the leather video. So, as you can tell, if you haven't seen that video, I just use the very, very basic Seat Doctors paint. So it's a paint-matched leather dye. And maybe I'll include some clips. Maybe I'll just let you guys go watch that. But I really didn't do what you're supposed to. Even though I got amazing results, you can kind of tell like some of these spots have let me focus there. They've just kind of worn away prematurely. Most of this is actually dirt. You can tell where I've already started rubbing it off. And the reason this gets so dirty compared to the rest of the wheel is because it doesn't have a top coat. So it's like, you know, they're like a leather primer almost, and then the leather color, and then they have a top coat. So they actually sell this, and I bought it since then. Looks like it's missing some already. Maybe it's evaporating. That's not good. But this is their satin top coat, and I've never used this, so we're gonna do a little test spot first and just kind of see how it works. But all the spots that I use their leather dye without this, it just picks up dirt really fast. And you know, yeah, you can wash it and get it back to a very, very close paint match, but even when it's clean, it still has a slight difference in hue. So anyways, enough ranting, boys. We got our 50% alcohol, we got our leather cleaner, we got our microfiber somewhere, and then we're gonna hit it with our leather dye, cafe latte. So gonna try and include you guys along the path, but I just wanted to do a quick before and after so you can kind of see, you know, where I started to blend it and where it just picks up dirt like crazy. So I'm gonna clean this off. We'll take a look at it clean, and then we'll do a touch up and we'll see what it looks like, and then we'll do a top coat and see what that looks like. Let's get it. All right, so we got the pH balanced leather cleaner on there, and you can see it's coming off no problemo. I do like this stuff. One of the few Chemical Guy products that I do use. Going through, you can kind of see the edge line. Let me just get the rest of this here to focus. Excuse me. There we go. So yeah, we'll just go through this a couple times, get all that dirt off, and then we'll probably hit it with a. Actually, no, we probably won't use the alcohol. Not for this one. We'll just go over the existing stuff after we clean it. It's looking pretty good. Okay, so after a couple passes with the Chemical Guys, you can definitely see that it's starting to streak a bit. So I'm probably just gonna wash the remainder of this off since it kind of like mixed with dirt. You can kind of see it's like a redder color. So I'm just gonna keep going until it's, you know, basically the same color. You can see the old, that's actually the Clydes, the leftover Clydes. It's like yellow. So anyways, I think honestly we could just paint over this now. It's close enough. I did this side as well, and you can tell like where it starts is it's like almost obviously it's not perfectly clean, but it does have a like different hue to it. It's like shiny over here and not shiny here, very matte. So anyways, gonna do another pass, and then we're gonna get into the leather dye. Okay, so I'm not gonna do this whole thing on camera, but I just wanted to show kind of where it was at before, so you can kind of see. I didn't get all of it off. I didn't really want to rough out the edges too much because we're gonna be doing a couple layers here. But yeah, just a little bit of that dye coming off, especially around the edges. More over here, I think it's just because that's where my hand always is. But yeah, we're gonna go right in. Let's get this on camera. And we're just gonna keep applying thin layers. Just dragging it over. If I remember anything from this job, it was that it was very, very forgiving, and that you should just focus on coverage. Don't even worry about what it looks like. It dries with no pattern, no anything. So just get coverage. Thin layers, keep going. Yeah. Well, don't worry, I'll get some of that off the wood, I see it. Yeah, just getting that coverage on. All right, you got it up here. I'm not gonna do all of them, but it is satisfying. Very satisfying. Especially compared to that Clyde's crap. I think I was just so impressed with this stuff last time that I just kind of got excited. I'm just gonna go right in. I know last time I was kind of hesitant about doing the leather stitching. Fuck it. It's not gonna be brand new, we don't care. As long as it's all the same color. It's looking pretty dang good, boys. So I'm gonna go over some spots and then let it dry, and then I'll start on this side, and then by the time that one's done, it'll be ready for another coat. And then I'll do the armrest, and then the steering wheel should be ready for some top coat. I'm excited to see what this is like. I should probably find an inconspicuous spot. Oh, I love these ones, the little textures, and they just disappear as you fill them in. Very, very satisfying. I want to show how satisfying it is when there actually is real damage being covered up. You just paint that on and it just disappears. So satisfying. And it looks pretty light right now, but give this thing like 10 minutes and it's going to be perfectly paint matched. Okay, so I just did 2 coats. It's looking pretty good. Obviously you can kind of tell there's some spots that haven't dried as much as the others. So I'm gonna take a quick break and I'm gonna clean off my brush and get the top coat ready to go. Yeah, maybe I'll do another quick coat here. Yeah, I'll probably do another quick coat. But it's looking pretty good. There's a little bit of damage I missed. But honestly, that's kind of the color I'm looking for. Like, as long as it's just one color, I don't really care about the texture. The steering wheel, like, yeah, it would be nice if you had like that kind of grain to it on all of it, and you could do that. Like, there's a way to do that. I mentioned in the first video, but you basically rough this up, sandpaper, paint it, and then right before it dries you put a pattern into it. And I go into it a little bit more in detail in that video, but you can get perfect results with this stuff. It's actually amazing what you can do with this stuff. But you know, if it looks like that from where I'm sitting, then I'm fine, man. I don't care. And I have a feeling that the top coat is going to add some durability and some like dirt resistance to it, so that'll be cool. But yeah, just gonna do a couple more touch-ups and then go clear up our brushes. See if I can see any of the parts here. Maybe hit that one up again. It's looking pretty good, boys. Pretty happy with that. Okay, so one of my biggest pet peeves with this repair is when I did the Clydes, I used 100% alcohol and I really just beat the shit out of this leather. And you can kind of tell, I'll zoom in a bit here. It's got these like perforation marks where some of the dye got completely removed. And getting in there with the new stuff, it's very tricky to get it without hitting the threads, which, you know, I didn't really care on the steering wheel, but having like one part of this line, this nice line, being completely painted over just looks like shit. So I undid it and I just lived with the perforated leather, but I'm actually gonna go through and cover all these spots now because it's gonna be a little bit more of a permanent repair. So I'm gonna do my best and then we'll take a look. So yeah, that's what it looks like now. If you get in nice and close, you can definitely see those spots. So the way I'm doing that is I'm taking the absolute smallest amount. So we got that focus here. No, anyways, you just have to trust me. Very, very small amount just on the tips here. Anyways, so I get a tiny bit on our tip here. And we're not painting like this. We're just gonna dab. There we go, parallel with the brush. And just tiny amount of coverage.
and just kind of keep going until those spots disappear, and then move on. Because the thing is that as this stuff dries, you've kind of got a little window. Like as it makes contact with the spot, the actual exposed leather, it'll cover it, but if you keep dabbing it or painting over it, it'll kind of pull up your previous work. So you're kind of just going real slow. Try not to fill any of these cracks too much. Don't worry about the color. The color will always cure properly. I always had this thing where, you know, you see a little high spot and you want to paint, you want to go over it to make it blend in. You just got to trust the plan, man. It's going to blend. So I'm going to do all these little spots, and then we're going to let it cure. And then we're going to do another couple very thin layers. And then I'll do a couple more on top here. This actually looks good to me, because I like when you go thin, you can still see the grain. Like far away, obviously this is like fresh, but it'll all be the same, you know, reflectiveness. The hopefully the satin will match up well. I haven't actually tried that, so that's kind of just speculation on my part, but just going bit by bit here, all these little spots. Just gonna fill them in, and it's gonna look really good when it dries. Yeah, that was a perfect one. You can start to see it's already looking good. Okay, so that was super easy. Thought it'd take a little bit longer, but yeah, it just ripped through it. Didn't really get any on our stitch lines, so that's nice. And actually caught a couple up here. I must have hit this with alcohol at some point. But yeah, it looks good to me. You know, fine from afar. Yeah, that looks good. No more little perforated holes. Definitely nice and uniform color. Steering wheel cured perfectly. That looks really good to me. Going up along, obviously you can see some sort of brush stroke. Like if you want to do maybe twice as many coats and do them a little thinner, you would get a little bit better texture. It's a steering wheel. I don't care. Looks fine to me. All right, get in there nice and close. Come in. Yeah, looks good, man. So I'm gonna go clean up our stuff. Little trick, use less. That was, you know, I thought this would take a couple coats. It really does spread quite a lot. So I'm probably gonna use a little bit more. There's a couple spots here and there. Yeah, in the future, just use less. Yeah, I'll probably fill in a couple more spots here, but the rest looks fine. Turned out good. Okay, so I was just giving this a once over, and I was looking at the instructions that is included with the top coat, and I think they are the instructions for the dye, because they don't really mention anything about top coat. But I do see that they mentioned to not use the paintbrush because it can cause streaks, which I definitely have a little bit of. So if you're gonna do this at home, maybe follow their instructions, don't follow mine, because yeah, I'm just kind of winging it. But anyways, as you can tell, so this is like the OEM top coat, the finish, and this is our painted area. So as you can tell, it's definitely more matte on the bottom, and it's kind of got this satin, little bit of gloss going on up top. So I'm gonna do a test spot right here, and we'll compare them. It would have to be really far off for me not to go through with the rest of this, but I just wanted to check because we've been having some good luck so far, and I'd feel really dumb to paint the whole thing with top coat and it's like super glossy or something. But anyways, yeah, let's see what it looks like. Okay, so yeah, this is kind of weird, I'm not gonna lie. It goes on really matte, like as matte as the paint, or dye rather. So that is kind of weird. I was kind of hoping for more like this. I probably should have gotten gloss. And also it seems like it actually disrupted some of the base dye as well. So maybe I'm not letting this cure long enough. Maybe I'll wait. Maybe, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put this on a tiny bit of the original stuff and just see what it does. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it right on here and see what it dries like. Okay. So yeah, I applied a little bit and you can tell it is definitely matte, so it's not like it's mixing with the dye or anything. So that is a little annoying. It's not gonna match nearly as well as I thought it would.
So yeah, I'm probably gonna do the rest of the steering wheel, and then in the future I'll probably pick up a small bottle of the gloss. But I just want to show kind of what I mean. It's actually, now that it's drying, it is starting to kind of get a little bit closer. So anyways, I'm not gonna hold off. I'm going to do the whole steering wheel with this stuff, and we'll do a little bit of the door as well, and I'll just monitor how well it prevents dirt buildup and stuff like that. If it really does act as a top coat, then maybe we'll just leave it. But I'll probably pick up a bottle of the gloss and do it again. A little disappointing, but now we know. Okay, so interesting enough, yeah, it does go on matte like I thought it would, which kind of sucks. It doesn't really look like anything went on there. However, and at first, I thought it was actually pulling up some color. Like it kind of felt like it was, it's the best way to explain this. So when you first put the dye on, it's very light, and then as it cures, it becomes the right color. And when you put the top coat on, it almost feels like it like starts that process over again, like it gets light for a bit. And when I first saw that, I was like, oh shit, it's pulling color up. I'm like, maybe I should wait for this to really cure and then put top coat over. But the brush is clear, it didn't pull anything up. And I actually let a few parts dry, and you can actually kind of feel it. Like it feels much more finished, if that makes sense. Like this doesn't feel like it doesn't feel chalky like just the dye does. So it does feel like it did something, but yeah, it's not nearly the same tone as this. It was very annoying. I really did want this to blend and have some sort of grain and shine. It didn't. It's really annoying, but if I redid that, I could probably get that grain back. I might do it with a sponge next time, but we're gonna see how this holds up against dirt and the like. But yeah, I am gonna go ahead and order the gloss just so we can get some real answers. And yeah, it didn't take much. You don't really need the big one. This was only like up to like here when I first started, so I've used very little. I got almost all of this covered. I'm gonna get outside and just look. It's hard to tell where the spots are. There's a couple little blemishes here and stuff that I definitely missed, but yeah, it looks pretty good. We'll see. Yeah, we're gonna do another coat. I'll do some more, and then we'll have to do a follow-up video. Whatever video we make next, I'll show you guys how it's been holding up. But yeah, that's gonna have to do it for this one, boys. So yeah, transmission is good. Ignition coils are something we're gonna have to kind of keep an eye on, and we are definitely going back out either to the track or my 8th mile spot and do a little lick and see where the car is at now that we got all 8 cylinders. But yeah, seat doctors, if you want to do leather repair, highly recommend. Get the top coat, get gloss, and yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. 500 subs, boys. I appreciate that. I never thought we'd be here, but here we are. Anyways, I do appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.